back in the sunny south. If you remember, a few weeks back we bought this chest set from the flea market. Lovely thing, just lacking a board. We needed a board for it. So while I was in the Carrez last week, I made three boards up out of some basically scrap wood. They're not finished, they're going to be finished this afternoon. I've got a couple of hours to spare, so I want to get these to a reasonable standard. Just put edging them, make a box for the pieces to go in, give them a bit of a polish, and then we can have a game of chess. Well, let me show you how we got to this stage. So now we've got a bunch of wood that's contrasting in colours. Some walnut, although I have discovered there's some wormholes which I don't know if I'm going to be able to use that or not. We'll see. This is maple, very pale, very blonde wood. And we've got some more of that Cocobolo left over. Lots of leftovers. It's been through the planer on this side, then again on the edge. So I now know that that's 90 degrees, that corner. That's all we need at the minute. So this side's finished, obviously. So what I intend to do now with this little lot is show it through the thicknesser. Thicknesser is basically sending it underneath where we've just sent it over the top. We're going to send it underneath and it's going to come out bang on parallel to the two sides we've just planed. So that means it'll be square all the way around with a bit of luck. So we're down to what we've got here, 150 mil. So we've got to wind that all the way up now to try and get it to around about 40 millimetre. Just take a bit off there, see if it'll cope with that. We'll pass all these through then. 40 mil is very thick for a chessboard, but what I plan to do then is to rip everything down the middle so I can get maybe at least 2 chessboards out of this little lot here, however it mixes up. Possibly 3, but we'll see. We've got the maple, the pale wood, and the Cocobolo on this one. Got to glue these 8 strips together, leave them 24 hours overnight, and then I'll show you the next process. It's basically cutting them and gluing them again. My concern is this this Cocobolo's gonna, when I sand it, I think it's gonna bleed into this pale colour. The dust that comes off this is like a powdered ink almost. But I've got a backup plan. I've also done some walnut strips, so I can maybe put that with a Cocobolo. Might be a bit more subtle. Anyway, let's get this glued up and leave it overnight. So there we have it in glue. Just give it the excess glue a wipe off with a rag in a sec. I'll leave that for 24 hours now. And we'll do the next process. So 24 hours drying in the cramps, and I've removed the cramps, and now we have to do some more cutting. So I'm going to rip these 3 boards. Maybe we'll have 3 when we finish if we don't mess one up. I'll pass them through the saw now, which is just all set up with a little sliding carriage just to pass it through, and we should end up with, we need 8 strips out of each board. There's plenty there, there's a little bit of waste, and then I'll show you how we arrange them for the next process. cut our board into 8 strips, and now what we've got to do is glue it back together in a slightly different way though. I'll show you. Good quality PVA, always seems to stick together quite well. Give it a good coating. Alternate every other one. Oh, not that one. Try and get some packer in there just so it doesn't break it all up, keeps it cramped up parallel, roughly square. And that kind of resembles a chessboard. I'll have to check if it's square. I think it is. I will put a bead round just to finish it off, and obviously it wants a bit of sanding, but it started off as just some strips of wood. It's made into these. Ultimately becomes a chessboard. So now they've had plenty of time to dry, now they're at the cramps. I think the effect is good, but we're going to give them a good sanding up now. We've got the big old belt sander to run across them. Quite happy with that for a rough sand. We'll go at it with the orbital sander when we've finished off, just putting a surround around it. So we've got to rough belt sand these other two, remove some, quite a bit of a lip on that one, but should have done better with that. Never mind, it'll sand up, and then we'll decide how we're going to finish them off. One thing I will point out, even though this has got a bag on to extract the dust, look at that. Very fine dust. So, as always, I wear my mask. So I'm back in the sunny south. Got them to a chessboard state. They need finishing, they need an edge around. This one's Cocobolo and Maple. So I've got some strips of Cocobolo that could go around the edge. No maple left. I've got a couple of boards of walnut, so I'm not sure what I'm going to use yet, but there's 3 boards, and we will be keeping one if it comes out as nice as I hope it does. So now, a piece of wood, 4 of these to do. Just run the little Makita router around, just create a little rebate for the board to drop into when I make a box. Okay, so the little router, battery operated thing, but it's really good. So you can see the cutter there. It just runs along the edge of the wood and creates that recess. Right, okay, so I've done one. I'll do the others, and then we'll miter them. Nice clean miter, 45 degrees. Pull them two together just like a picture frame and glue it to form this box. So we have 4 sides and a bottom. It's plywood that I've just grooved in there. You can see it just passes into that groove. So it's just a case of throwing a lot of glue on this, cramping it up, and then leaving it for the time being. But I will be also, to reinforce it, I'll put some saw cuts down here and put in some splines, probably that way. Contrasting wood again. Now we have it in a cramp, simple little web cramp here, with this band that goes around the edge, pulling them miters up, squeezing that glue out, and there you go. So that should take half a day to dry properly. We've got a sealed box, can't get in yet, I'll show you how you get in later on, and finish these corners off, run it through there, 4 sides, and hopefully it won't be a disaster. So all we've done is run this box, a sealed box, through the saw, 4 sides, and then gives us a lift off lid. So hopefully, I don't know if they'll all fit, but I think they'll fit.
Oh, the pieces inside.
In there. All I'm going to do now is clean this up a little bit and put a little bit of bead on this so that it just locates. I'm not going to hinge it, but just so it drops on, it locates on.
Fabulous. That's very clever, darling. Well done.
This bead's dried on now, the locating bead, that'll just nicely locate it onto the box, but it's just a bit proud, so I'm just going to remove a little bit of this excess of the block plane. One side, a little bit proud there. Two sides, done. So we've had a coat of this stuff, the matte varnish it's spray on, dried, had a couple of hours to dry, and I'm just flattening it off, just denibbing it, all those little flecky bits you get in. And that now is all it needs before we give it a buff with some wax, which is always the pleasant part of the job. Brings out the colour, transforms a beautiful piece of wood into an absolutely stunning piece of wood. I'm pleased with that. Just find a bit of wax, Libron, clear wax. Don't need to colour this wood, it's pretty enough as it is. And it's just about a bit of elbow grease now. Nourishing into the wood.